Welcome to today's explainer. So, we usually just think of residential plumbing as, a bunch of pipes and wrenches. But honestly, it's more like a hidden ongoing war. It's literally a daily battle between local geography and the very homes we live in. And to really wrap our heads around this conflict, we're going to use the city of Bessemer, Alabama as our own fascinating little microcosm. By zooming in on the environmental pressures of this specific region, we can actually decode the vulnerabilities hiding inside walls and underfloors pretty much everywhere.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Have you ever actually considered how the very ground your house sits on and the distinct chemical makeup of the water flowing through it might be silently destroying its infrastructure? I mean, we often write off plumbing problems as just random bad luck or maybe just old age. But as the data out of Bessemer is going to show us, your plumbing's absolute biggest enemy is often the natural environment right outside your front door.
Now get this, Bessemer is actually the hometown of legendary athlete Bo Jackson. He grew up there, went to high school there, and to this day he remains the only athlete to be an all-star in both Major League Baseball and the NFL. The guy is just a symbol of incredible toughness. And frankly, when you look at the heavy red clay soil and the super aggressive local water chemistry in that area, Bo Jackson might just be the only thing tougher than the environment those Bessemer homes have to endure.
All right, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, the anatomy of home plumbing. 2, Bessemer's unique environmental threats. 3, symptoms of infrastructure failure. 4, the emergency response playbook. 5, the 3-step service process. And finally, navigating plumbing investments. Let's get into it. Section 1, Anatomy of Home Plumbing. The 3 pillars. So before we talk about things going horribly wrong, we need to understand what right looks like. Every single home relies on 3 distinct systems. You've got your potable water supply. That's your incoming line delivering clean, pressurized water straight to your sinks and showers. Then there's the sanitary drainage system. That's the outgoing route, which uses gravity and some specialized venting to safely get rid of wastewater. And finally, the stormwater drainage system. This one handles all the rainwater runoff from your roof and foundation so your home doesn't, flood. The absolute crucial point here is that these 3 interconnected pillars absolutely must work perfectly in tandem to protect your property. If just one fails, the whole ecosystem of your house is compromised.
Moving on to Section 2, Bessemer's unique environmental threats, geography's assault. Now, let's see how this builds on that anatomy we just talked about. This is where the local geography really starts throwing punches. Bessemer's water supply draws from the Cahaba River watershed, and it brings in something called hard water. All that means is the municipal water contains a naturally high mineral content. We're talking specifically about calcium and magnesium. Now, that sounds totally harmless, right? But this hard water is silently destroying appliances like water heaters right from the inside out. It accelerates wear and tear, leaves that annoying crusty white residue on your fixtures, and can severely restrict your water pressure as those mineral deposits just clog right up inside the lines.
And this next part brilliantly illustrates how those environmental threats interact with human engineering over time. In some of the older Bessemer neighborhoods like Jonesboro, homes built back in the 1950s often still have their original galvanized steel pipes. Well, that hard water, it just corrodes those pipes from the inside. Fast forward to the 1980s, and builders started using polybutylene pipes, which we now know suffer from unexpected chlorine degradation. They can literally fail without any warning whatsoever. When you compare this super vulnerable older infrastructure to modern code-compliant solutions like PEX and copper piping, you see a massive leap in longevity and resilience against that aggressive local water chemistry. Let's look at Section 3, Symptoms of Infrastructure Failure, Reading the Signs. So, how does a homeowner actually know their plumbing is losing the war against nature? Well, you can trace physical symptoms in a home straight back to their environmental causes. That Cahaba River hard water, that leads directly to premature water heater failure and really low water pressure. But hey, it's not just the water. Jefferson County is famous for its super dense red clay soil, and this clay expands and contracts wildly with seasonal moisture changes. What does that do? It shifts foundations and literally snaps the pipes buried underneath, causing these hidden slab leaks. And then, of course, there's the high summer humidity. That creates condensation on your cold water lines, which drips down into crawl spaces and just feeds mold growth. Basically, the environment dictates the symptom.
Section 4, the emergency response playbook, diagnostics and tools. Okay, so when these geographical threats finally overwhelm a system, how do professionals like the teams over at Fortress Plumbing Birmingham actually respond? The simple answer is they don't guess.
The modern plumber's playbook is incredibly high-tech. I mean, they're using video inspection cameras routed directly into sewer lines so they can actually see root intrusions or blockages before they even think about digging up a yard. They use localized pressure testing to isolate hidden leaks behind walls, and even thermal imaging to track invisible water intrusion. Plus, they treat their service vehicles like rolling mobile warehouses. They stock over 2,000 parts, everything from specific fittings for those old 1950s galvanized pipes to brand new PEX connectors. That means they can zero in on the root cause and just complete the repair right then and there, without wasting time running back to the supply house.
All right, Section 5, the 3-step service process, a blueprint for resolution. Now, technology is fantastic, but it really requires a structured process to be effective, especially during a stressful emergency. For the local experts handling Bessemer's infrastructure, the playbook comes down to a really strict 3-step process. Step 1, contact and dispatch. This isn't just taking a message and getting back to you later. It's immediate routing with live text tracking so the homeowner knows exactly when help is going to pull into the driveway. Step 2, diagnosis and approval. This is huge. The technician actually explains the issue in plain English and provides a written estimate before a single tool is picked up. So no surprise, time and materials billing that spirals totally out of control. And finally, Step 3, repair and verification. The fix is made, it's thoroughly tested to make sure it works right, and it's backed by a guarantee. It's a really methodical approach, designed specifically to eliminate panic.
And our final section, number 6, navigating plumbing investments, costs, and codes.
Look, keeping these 3 vital plumbing systems alive is a serious investment, and we definitely need to look at the numbers. In the Bessemer area, professional licensed plumbers typically charge anywhere between $75 and $150 an hour. Now, you might be wondering, why the big range? Well, it all boils down to the complexity of the repair, the cost of quality, long-lasting materials, and of course, the timing of the emergency. A midnight call on a Saturday for a completely flooded basement is naturally going to command a premium compared to, say, a scheduled afternoon faucet replacement. But here's the kicker. That hourly rate? It's buying you something absolutely crucial: legal and safety compliance. Professional plumbing work has to adhere to the International Plumbing Code, along with very specific Alabama and Jefferson County amendments. We're talking about things like installing mandatory backflow prevention devices, which ensure contaminated water doesn't siphon right back into your clean drinking supply. Gross, right? It also covers proper permit acquisition and inspections for major jobs like modifying gas lines or repiping a whole house. Listen, skipping these codes by hiring a cheap handyman might save you a few bucks today, but unpermitted work can completely void your homeowner's insurance and absolutely destroy your property's value when it's time to sell. It's just not worth it. So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a question to ponder about your own living space. We've seen how geography, soil, water chemistry, and aging infrastructure create this completely silent battleground right inside a home. Whether you live in Bessemer, Alabama, or literally anywhere else in the world, the environment around you is testing the engineering inside your house every single second. So, what kind of pipes are hiding behind your walls? And more importantly, are they winning the hidden war against nature? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into the hidden infrastructure of our homes. Catch you next time.